What's going on, people? This is Kid Shardy Gaming Nation in the building. Um, I'm making this video because, for some odd reason, when it comes to black men and black culture, black men are the only group of men that are not allowed to gatekeep his woman or request that his woman's sexuality be virgin or have virgins in his community. We are the only group of men that cannot put an expectation of our women to not be 304s, to not be hoes, right? We can't expect them to be sexually chaste. We can't expect them to be virgins. We're the only group of men who cannot have that patriarchal ability or patriarchal right. You know what I'm saying? You always have the players, the max, and the pimps. That the only reason why they became a masculine influence in black culture is because of the Vietnam War, where a lot of black men went to go fight in Vietnam. So a lot of those traditional black men went to go fight in Vietnam. So what was left over? The pimps, the max, the dope boy, the drug dealer. Those were the influences that was left over as as a masculine role model for black community. If you remember the movie Dead Presidents with Cuddy the Pimp, right? Right. So when I forgot the name, Anthony went to go fight in Vietnam, Cuddy the Pimp became the new masculine father in black culture. That's what happened, right? So a lot of the pimp knowledge, the player Mac influence black culture or influence black women to look at black men a certain type of way. You understand? So what a lot of player Mac and pimps don't understand is that the only reason why you became an influence. What the hell going on with the camera now, bro? Camera, whatever. The only reason why those brothers became an influence in black culture was because black men had to go fight in the Vietnam War, which is something that black men could not control, right? Because they were being drafted to go fight that. You understand? Um, a lot of times in these spaces, every time black men say, "Yo, we want our black woman to do this, A, B, C, and D," it's always another black man, a brother, that's a player Mac, or he from that type of lifestyle, or pimp, always coming up with the feministic tactic or the feministic language. You can't control no woman. You're insecure for trying to control or tie down a woman. And these are men that talk about masculinity. The same pimp that will tell you don't try to check him on how he operates his hoes is trying to check you on how to operate with black women, with your women. The same player that tell you don't dirty Mac on him or don't play a shame on him, he's shaming traditional men for gatekeeping his women. Right? Now, they like to make the subjective argument, right? Or one-to-one argument, right? Where, you can't control every woman as far as subjective to you. You got to gatekeep the woman that aligns with you and chooses you or wants to be on your program. Absolutely. That's subjective level. But the objective level, when you talk about a society that's built off of traditionalism, that's built off of monogamous relationships, right? And I'm gonna break down the science with that in another video. I might break down the science in this video, right? When you look at America, take out racism, take out slavery, take out Jim Crow, and let's look at black men and white men as just human beings running a society, running America, right? Because even though after slavery, black men engaged in traditional relationships and we were proficient and successful at it, right? So take out slavery, take out Jim Crow, take out all of that. Look at America and the system itself. America, the garden, is built off of traditionalism, traditional relationships, monogamous relationships. And those type of relationships are the cornerstone to America and its success in becoming an empire that it is in the world. So if traditional black men within their black communities want to gatekeep their women and, and put an expectation on the women and hold those women accountable to that, those men have a right to do so. And if a player or pimp, who's also a brother or black man, does not like how those traditional black men are running into their community and operating with their women, they should follow the rules of their own code. Don't tell those men how to operate with their women. Don't try to G-check them with their women. Don't try to talk about how insecure they are with their women and how they operate. You wouldn't go to Saudi Arabia and tell whatever Arab Hahaka Akanakan, whatever, however you say their names, Hala Hahafo or Habib, right? You wouldn't go over to Saudi Arabia and tell Habib that what he's doing with his women in Saudi Arabia is insecure of him. Habib will cut your head off. You don't go to China and tell China or North Korea how they operate with their women is insecure with them. You don't do that. They'll chop your head off or kick you out. So why is it with black men, other black men feel comfortable doing that to other black men? They don't even do that with white dudes. But they deal with black men. And we're going to break down the science of that. And you know what? I'm going to go into the science of why monogamy is successful. What's the science behind that? Right? So let's begin. Let's kick it off. Gardening, farmer analogy, men, women, and patriarchy, right? Self-focus versus environmental focus. So the common advice you hear from a dating coach or play a Mac nigga, which is a short-term fix, right? It's really a surface thing, which is true, right? The surface level is factual of it, right? Because focusing on yourself, that's a subjective, right? As a man, you got to focus on yourself, your own consistency, and you got to build yourself up as a man. So you focus on yourself. But there's a caveat. Because men are in the leadership position, you also have to focus on the women that's part of the garden or our environment. And you also have to focus on the environment itself, right? Because as a man, you're the leader, you're the head, the farmer, the gardener, the president, the chief. And this is your garden. This is your environment. And the women are part of their environment. See, now, this is what surface niggas talk about. Surface niggas. This is what I call these niggas who say this. Surface niggas. Focus on yourself, not the woman. These are surface niggas. These are the players and the parasites that want you to not focus on the women and focus on the garden so that they can do what they want with your women. So you don't see what they're doing with your women to teach your women to be rebellious against you in your garden. But here's where they miss. The women are always going to be part of your garden, and you have to focus on them as well as focusing on yourself. And here's why. Because I'm the man and I have the sperm, and I can determine the sex of that woman or that child in the womb, right? I determine if that child, if that embryo is, if that woman is going to bring forth in the embryo a male or female. I determine that as the man. So that woman, because I provide the X and the Y chromosome, right? So since I give that female child life or that male child life, the woman is part of me. The woman is part of me as a man. I'm giving the woman, that embryo, life in the womb. So the woman is always going to be part of the man. Remember, God said, I took a rib from Adam and created woman. So I'm always going to have to be focused on the woman. Now I'm supposed to be focused on myself the most, right? I have to be focused on myself first and the most. But I still have to pay attention and also focus on the woman because the woman is tethered to me. That's the whole, this is that. If you read a book called Paradise Lost, which is supposed to be an extension to the stories of the Bible, King James Version of the Bible, in Paradise Lost, the reason why God made Eve from Adam's rib is to tether Eve to Adam. Because what happened was Lilith rebelled against God and said God's name, and she got kicked out the garden. So God thought if I tether, it's funny that Tariq Nasheed uses that word tether. I'm going to take a rib from Adam to make Adam and Eve more connected with each other, right? So woman is always going to be from Adam. We're always going to be connected to each other in some form or way in that science. And then when you look at, now whether you believe in that Bible or not, and you believe more in science, when you break down the science of it, when the sperm, the man carries the X and Y chromosome, so when my sperm hits that egg, and now that egg takes the X chromosome now, and it becomes a woman, that's a fact. The science and the biblical thing measure up if you know how to see in between the lines and connect the dots. So the women are always going to have to be focused on, but you just have to focus on yourself more as a man to develop yourself, develop who you are in your autonomy as a man, right? Now, let's break it down. Reality, a man must focus on himself, identity, consistency, individuality, and swag, and also on the woman because she is part of his system or ecosystem and vision. Farmer analogy, a farmer focuses on himself, strength, skill, and knowledge, and also his garden and livestock. Garden, crops equals yield, resources for sustenance and trade. Chickens, cows, and goats produce food, income, and labor. Neglecting the garden or livestock allows external forces, players, macs or wolves, foxes, vermin, and parasites to steal or destroy resources. So this is what the players want to do in black culture. They want to be able to have sex with all the black women. What the flip? They want to be able to have sex with all of the black women, right? And let the tradition. Now, mind you, I would have no issue if the player max and pimp niggas are only engaging with the 304s and the hoes. But they also want to do this with the traditional women that belong to the traditional black men or in the house of traditional black women, men. So the player max and pimp niggas, they want to disarm black men from protecting their gate and get inside the house of the traditional black man and take your woman from you and take the resources from you and tell you you're insecure for gatekeeping your woman or insecure for gatekeeping your garden. That's like the wolf or the worm telling the farmer, yo, let me keep eating your apple. Let me keep destroying your crops and getting fat off your resources. And if you do something about it or you come try to check me, don't parasite shame me. Don't wolf shame me. Don't shame the fox. Don't play your hate. You understand what I'm saying? That's what that's like. The woman as the garden. What the? I don't know what's going on with my PC right here. The woman as the garden. The woman is analogous to the garden and livestock, part of the man's environment and vision. Her role is to align with his patriarchal vision, raise children in alignment with the father's legacy, maintain loyalty and perform duties that support the household and lineage. If she fails to perform, the man must either correct or remove her influence, just as the farmer would guard against predators or destroy diseased crops. Right? So on the black man's part, right, you have to hold your woman accountable to what you want her duties to be. Right? It's not the same. So now when niggas like to use this feminist tactic, this is why I side eye a lot of the player niggas, right? Because y'all use this feminist tactic right here. I'm gonna show y'all what it is. So I side eye y'all, a lot of y'all. Because y'all use a lot of the feminist tools in your verbiage and you mix it in with you mix it in with masculinity, so it's difficult to point it out. Where is this thing? Y'all use this. I don't know what the fuck is going on with my PC and the camera on it. I don't know, maybe I have to do a clean of it or something to optimize it or what. Anyway, let me say something. That's like the devil or Satan telling God, keep Adam and Eve in there so that they can keep destroying the garden. And God, you're insecure because you won't let me manipulate, you won't let Adam and Eve in the garden to destroy the garden, to give Satan access to the garden. That's what that's like when a player say that to you. You're insecure. Which again, that's a feminist word, right? Because what you have is you have rebellious black men and rebellious black women who are 304s that want to benefit from the garden and can't go build their own house themselves or go build their own garden and create their own reality. So they want to be able to benefit from traditional men. And so the players want to have access to traditional black women. The hoes want to be able to have access to traditional black men and the garden, the resources of the garden. They don't want to go link up with each other and go create their own stuff. They want access from black men and black women. So instead of them doing that, what the players do is they call black men who are traditional insecure for trying to, I guess, control a woman, which black women, a black man is supposed to control you. Your Bible tell you that. He's supposed to control you. Why? Because one of the things that feminism has taught black women, your body, your choice, but they never told you to respect the black man's body. You're always talking about black men not respecting black women's body. You don't respect the black man's body because the sperm came from his body. So all you pro-blacks that like to do metaphysics and all that science shit, why you never do the science about the black man's sperm? Right? So black woman, a black man is supposed to control you because your body is carrying his sperm, his seed. And he's the second in command of God, just like you're the second in command to a man. So he's supposed to control you. So don't let feminism or let other men tell you that he can't control you. He's supposed to be able to control you. Now, as a woman, you're still supposed to have discernment and hold yourself accountable and pick the right man to control you. Just like he got to pick the right man. That's like so the thing is supposed to be balanced, right? A man is the vet to not only protect himself, but find the right woman that he can control. And the woman is supposed to vet to also protect herself, to find the right man that she wants to be controlled by. See, it's not that men can't control women. It's that the woman has to like, love, and respect the man who she wants to be controlled by. That's what the key is. Right? What does lead by example mean? At its core, it means a leader embodies the standards he enforces on others. It prevents hypocrisy. People will respect a leader who says, do this, while doing the opposite. In leadership psychology, this is called modeling behavior. Followers imitate what the leader consistently demonstrates, right? So this is what they say it means, right? Which is feminism. Because a president doesn't have to go join the military to lead a military. Donald Trump, I don't think he joined the military, but he can lead the army. He can lead the military. He can send National Guard to your state. So this first thing is not necessarily true, right? Does it mean the exact same standard for men and women? No, not exactly. Men and women have different roles and duties within the hierarchy. A man doesn't need to prove his ability to do what women do. Example, cooking, nurturing, and administration. Childbearing. Likewise, a woman doesn't need to prove her ability to do what men do. Example, going to war, dying in defense of family. The correct principle is a man leads by example in his lane of responsibility and expect a woman to follow hers. That's what that means. So in another analogy, a general holds himself accountable or is consistent in his lane or role as a general leading an army. But a woman, the general holds the sergeant or the lieutenants accountable into their lane of duties. But because the general is the top of the hierarchy, and he's doing what he's supposed to be doing as a general, leading, enforcing, holding people accountable whatsoever, and telling people what to do. The sergeant see that the general is following his lane and his roles and his responsibilities. So the sergeant going to now do what the general tells the sergeant to do and follow the sergeant's responsibilities or play in the sergeant's role or lane. That's what that means. But a lot of you play your Mac niggas, you do the first thing. You do this shit here, the first shit right here. And a lot of y'all is just surface level, right? How this works in hierarchy. A king doesn't live exactly like the peasant, but he upholds the values of his kingdom, justice, courage, and sacrifice. A general doesn't fight exactly like a foot soldier, but he's expected to share their risk, being at the front when needed, not hiding behind them. A husband doesn't live like his wife, but he upholds discipline, protection, and provision. So she has the confidence to follow. So when people say lead by example, the masculine interpretation is if you demand order, you must live with order. If you demand loyalty, you must practice loyalty. If you demand discipline, you must embody discipline. That doesn't mean mirror identical standards, but it does mean credibility, right? So in other words, if I'm with a woman and I say I'm going to buy a house in 5 years, if the fifth year comes and she don't see a house, I'm not credible, nor am I consistent. But if I say to that woman, I'm going to buy a house in 5 years, and the house is there, you go in the house, there's a stove, there's a kitchen, my influence is valid. I have structure. Now, when I tell her to do something, she has to do it because there's proof. My there's proof in my structure. There's proof that my influence has structure behind it, right? How this works in hierarchy. A king doesn't live exactly like a peasant. Oh, so I said that already. Right, so this is what this means, right? Historical culture examples. Christ is called to head. So no, I'm not going to go through all of this. I think I went through this already, but you guys get the picture. So we're going to go back here, right? Right. So let's go back to this right here, right? A woman's role, which is what a lot of women don't like. A lot of black women don't like this, right? Well, a lot of women in society don't like this because they're feminists, obviously. Her role is to align with his patriarchal vision, carry and raise children in alignment with the father's legacy, maintain loyalty, and perform duties that support the household and lineage. If she fails to perform, the man must either correct or remove her influence, just as the farmer would guard against predators or destroy diseased crops, right? External influences. When other men tell a traditional man he is insecure for controlling and guarding his woman, it's like telling the farmer to let the wolves eat his chickens or destroy his crops. This is analogous to a player thug or outsider trying to manipulate or destroy the man's household or influence. Principle. Men must protect and cultivate their environment while maintaining internal consistency. Ignoring women in the household or dating ecosystem leads to loss of resources, authority, and legacy, just as ignoring the farm leads to destruction and death. Now, what's the resources? I told you, right? A relationship, right? Building a nuclear family, that's the resources. Producing children, productive children to be productive people in a society, that's the resource. Because if you can't produce children to be productive in a society, you have no civilization. That's the resource, right? Now, when you keep telling black men you're insecure or for controlling and guarding his woman or you're too controlling, that's a player or thug or player dirty macking on that man and how he operate. And the same players will tell you don't tell him how to operate with his women, but they like to tell you how to operate with your women. All right, so this is something different, right? Has something else in mind I wanted to show. Oh yeah, so let me show this. Let me show y'all this right quick. Um, by the way, I have a lot of stuff that I have to go over, and I'm going to go over them. All right, so this is the resources of a garden right here. This is what I mean. Nuclear family as microcosm of society. So this is all you people that are saying that monogamy is not natural. Polymory or what you call poly is more natural. Well, maybe monogamy is a natural evolution to create structure, order, and balance. Maybe you could say it that way. That's like patriarchy might have not been natural. Maybe matrilineal societies may have been more natural, but patriarchy is a natural evolution that gave society structure and balance, right? You're correct. The nuclear family mirrors broader societal structures. In capitalist societies, the family is competitive and hierarchical, often with the man as the primary breadwinner. This mirrors capitalism itself, competition for resources, status, and wealth. Men compete to provide, while women may select partners based on their resources, creating a natural competitive balance in the mega market. Now, the woman has to perform to compete too, right? Because she got to be able to perform, cook, clean, and prove that she's a nurturer to get access to the best man. And the man, this is the context of a relationship and how we pick people in the dating, right? Market, right? Um, so man, he has to compete by being the best man that can have the best status, wealth, and resources to get the best type of woman. And the woman has to compete and perform to prove that she can cook, clean, be nurturing, best looking to get the best type of man. So the competition is balanced in both ways. It's meant to attract the best people out of the data market in American capitalist structure, right? In socialist communist societies, economic systems prioritize equality over competition. Families are often structured more like a 50-50 partnership, shared labor, shared income, shared household duties. This mirrors the societal goal of reducing inequality. Men and women are expected to have equal access to resources and responsibilities, even if natural differences exist in skill sets or roles. Right? Now, there's a problem with that, right? Because now, what happens in a 50-50 situation where the woman can go fight the bear or go fight the lion or go fight the intruder? You understand? So this is why a lot of those communist countries like China are 50-50 relationship, right? Because in China or a lot of those socialist countries, they're about stopping inequality. So they design their relationships or structure that relationship as a microcosm of that structure, right? Competition in gender roles in capitalism. In capitalist societies, the men often specializes in competition-based roles, acquiring resources, providing security, generating wealth. The woman often specializes in nurturing, raising children, and household management, which allows the family unit to function efficiently. This is not about restricting women, but about division of labor, which is something that Angry Man and many black men in the manosphere has told y'all about, that maximizes the family's survival and competitiveness in a resource-based society. Why this matters economically. Men need access to resources to compete, jobs, wealth, status. If women compete for the same resources in the same way, it can disrupt the family economic stability. Competition is no longer just external market, but internal within the household. What does that look like? Look at black culture. Black women are getting the same jobs that black men are getting. And hiring companies are hiring black women over black men. Why? Because DEI and affirmative action. Black women are triple minority, triple benefit to a company. They're black, they're minority, and they're women. You know what I'm saying? So black men have to compete with black women over the same resources, same job resources, and economy. And they're gonna hire black women over they hire a black man. So understand what I'm saying? So now black men, he doesn't get the resources he needs to be a traditional guy, be a protector, provider, and the woman is doing his same roles. Now she's not nurturing or taking care of children. This causes a disrupt in the economic stability of capitalist society. And then we wonder why black community is stuck where we at. Because at least with Asian women and Asian men, Asian women make that money that she's making to bring it back home to Asian men. And she's not trying to usurp the Asian man's authority in his household. Black women don't do that. Black women don't bring those resources back to black culture to help black men to build with a black man. She get those resources to prove how better than a black man she is, which is not race loyalty, by the way. Marxism critiques capitalism as producing inequality in all spheres, including the family. From that perspective, a 100% male breadwinner model is seen as unequal because not all men or women have equal access to wealth or status, which is true, right? But that may have been true in Karl Marx's, I want to say, timeline or era. Because when you go back to Great Britain, that was what Marx's critique was of. And Great Britain, they were evolving from a feudalistic society into capitalism. So they weren't fully capitalism yet. They still had old feudalistic, rigid hierarchy systems. Right? So might have been where he was critiquing and what he saw from his lens in that era and timeline. Marxist theorists argue if society is about equality, family structure should reflect that, hence the promotion of 50-50 partnership. But the Marxist lens doesn't account for natural differences in competition or resource acquisition tendencies between genders. It focuses on perceived fairness. So it's what they perceive as being fair. not factual. Capitalist societies naturally create competitive market, made a market. Men compete to provide, achieve, and protect. Women compete for the best man who can provide resources. This aligns with the three pieces of masculinity I referenced: provision, protection, and promotion of performance. Communist societies aim to remove this competition, emphasizing equality instead of hierarchy, which is bullshit because China is now a superpower of the world, and they benefited off of America's capitalism. By the way, this ties into what I was talking about earlier because this is the resources that I'm talking about, right? Socialist common societies aim to remove this result. Men and women are more equal in the household, but the link between competition, wealth acquisition, and reproductive strategy is weakened, right? Because you're not getting the best of man to produce something with, and you're not getting the best of women that can perform for you and carry on your lineage, right? Competition makes people better. The big picture: capitalism values competition, hierarchy, and specialization, which naturally leads to unequal family roles, but potentially more economic efficiency. Marxist socialist framework value equality, which pushes society towards shared family structure, but may reduce the incentives that drive resource accumulation and competitive excellence. In other words, family structure and economic philosophy are deeply intertwined. That way, the way men and women divide labor in the home reflects broader societal priorities. Wealth accumulation versus equality. Now, the whole idea of, so I'm not going to go fully into this. I just wanted to give you an idea what the resources are of the garden, right? So this could go into it, right? This is the resources, right? Because you want to create effective human beings within a society, right? In the capitalist societies, the nuclear family is not just about survival. It's a training ground for competition. Men compete to provide, protect, and promote, acquiring resources, skills, and status. Women compete selectively to align with capable providers and ensure optimal family outcomes. This micro-level competition develops skills, ambition, and productivity, which then feed into society at large. So that is the resources of a garden, of a nuclear family garden, right? And this is why black men have a right to gatekeep their women in their garden, because you want to create a productive black culture, a productive black society, which was what we were doing until, I don't know, I guess Obama. And you know, when black people decided to go fully left, right? Um, had a thought to break this down and I forgot what it was. It'll come back to me. Competition at macroism level, society and economy. When family and individuals compete, it creates a ripple effect across society. Business innovate to attract workers, maximize profit, and outperform competitors. Workers develop skills and efficiency to get ahead, which raises the overall productivity of the economy. Nations compete globally. Countries that maximize internal competition tend to grow faster, innovate, and dominate economically. Example: US versus socialist economies historically. Capitalist societies, US, Germany, Japan, often see rigid innovation and GDP growth due to competition driven labor and business structures, right? Now, remember, China didn't become the superpower it became today on communism by itself. They had to use capitalism to fuel the economy, and that's thanks to Bill Clinton. But that's another video, and I did that video already. So, all right, so these are the resources that I'm talking about in the garden. If you've been paying attention and you can read in between the lines and you can see what I see, or hopefully I helped you to see what I'm seeing. Now, this is why it's important for black men to gatekeep your women and gatekeep your garden and gatekeep your community and gatekeep your society. It's in your rights to do that, right? I want black men to feel secure in himself when he says, "Yo, I don't want a promiscuous woman. I don't want a 3 or 4. I want a woman that's sexually chaste or virgin." And be confident in saying that. And don't let black women or your other black men who don't want to be traditional. These are the player Mac and Doug niggas and the black women who are 3 or 4s. They're rebelling against the garden while wanting to have access to the garden. So don't let these people make you feel insecure for how you want to operate as a man. The same player would tell you don't check him on how to operate as a man, but check you on how you should operate with women and as a man, which is crazy to me, right? So no, black men understand you have to get more confident and secure in yourself by the type of woman you want to attract to you or want to allow in your garden, how you want to build your garden in your empire, right? You have to be secure in that. This is why I don't like to quote that Malcolm X likes to repeat that he got from a Ghanaian scholar or something. When you educate a woman, or a woman raises no higher than the nation or some shit. Because the man built the nation. The nation is the man's garden. The woman is only there to help the man micromanage the garden, but the garden is built and cultivated by the man. He gave the man life. The man gave the nation or the garden life. That's why I also don't like the other quote. When you raise a woman, you raise a nation, but when you raise the man, you raise an individual. The individual, the man, is the one who built the nation, who built the garden, the structure of the garden. The woman is the nation, is the woman, the nation is the children. The woman is supposed to micromanage the garden or that nation based upon what the man taught her or the individual taught her. So you have to educate the man so he can educate his woman so she can raise the garden or the nation. But it's his garden, it's his structure, it's him. Anyway, this is Kiss Shorty Gamer Nation. Hopefully the science that I dropped here today, you guys can take notes from it, incorporate it, and cultivate it. I don't think my current generation or the Gen Z generation is going to take notes to it. I think that this is going to be for black people like 100 years from now, if they ever see this video. You know what I'm saying? So this is a message to the future. You feel me? And I hope it gets to those people in the future. I hope somebody see the video, and I'm going to find a way to take a lot of my notes and release them on the internet, copyright them, all the other good stuff, and, give it to the internet. You know what I'm saying? Either sell it or put it on, turn them into booklets or pamphlets, and copyright them, and then, produce them for the people to get. You understand? And yes, I want to make money off my damn mind and work. I'm a capitalist, my nigga. So I'm going to make money off myself. What the fuck you mean? Anyway, this is Kiss Shorty Gaming Nation. Like, share, and subscribe.